What's good, folks? It's your boy Isaac, aka Polo, aka Young Polo, back with another edition of Polo Talk Sports with your boy Polo. Finna talk about sports, man. You know the deal. You know what we do. Back with another edition of Over Under. Now, for this edition of Over Under, it's based on four players. We got Russ Wilson, we got Ice Trey Young, we got Jaw Dropper, John Morant. Pause. We got Kevin Durant, Easy Money Sniper. Now, at this point, it's going to be probably a week, if not 2 weeks, to when I posted these players on their stories. But I did get a lot of interaction. I got about 40 to 50 interactions on each of these players. So appreciate everyone who voted on the IG story. It doesn't take much, but I appreciate y'all for doing that anyway. And so basically, on this edition, on the story, if you remember or not, whatever, I'm just gonna tell y'all what happened. So on my last edition of Over Under, it was really the Steph Curry was the thing, but I had someone tell me, give me a little feedback saying like how I was going crazy talking about how is Steph Curry underrated? He's the greatest shooter of all time, this, that, and the third. But the reason he was saying like if we like a player and your only options you're going to give us is overrated and underrated, we're going to go with underrated because that's the only two options. So this one I added properly rated, but too many fucking people voted on properly rated, so I'm gonna have to take that out. Plus, like I was thinking about it, it doesn't make for as good content to say like, because if a player is properly rated, what I'm gonna say like, oh, he's properly rated. That's the end of the discussion. I can't put facts. I can't make an argument for this or that because properly rated. It's just it's bland. It's boring. So next series is just gonna be over and underrated when I post it on the story, and that's what I'm gonna concentrate on with this video. So let's get right into it. First suspect, Russell Wilson. Now we know what he did at the beginning of his career. He was one bad play call away from being a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, which is that's no small feat right there. But obviously, we know what happened. Malcolm Butler won that Super Bowl, even though everyone wants to act like Tom Brady is invincible and he wins at any means necessary. Malcolm Butler won that Super Bowl for them. Like, let's keep it a buck. But anyway, after that, obviously, he hasn't been back to a Super Bowl, or really hasn't been close to getting back to a Super Bowl since then. But he's 10 wins every season. He's really carrying Seattle. He's putting that franchise on his back with a terrible O line. I might add you. He's still putting up stupid numbers. And for those of you who don't know football, good quarterback play is predicated on your O line. We've seen quarterbacks have success early on in their career, and when their O line kind of fell apart, we saw the quarterback also fall apart. Case in point, Carson Wentz. You feel me? He was balling on the Birds, balling back on the Eagles. When they made that Super Bowl run. A year or two later, his O line isn't as good. Now he starts getting hurt all the time, and he just turned into a trash can quarterback. We see what he is now. Three years on three different teams. Russell Wilson was dealing with similar circumstances to that, but he was able to overcome it because Russell Wilson, he's a dog, underrated. Hall of Famer, first ballot. And next up, we got Ice Trey Young. Y'all know how I feel about Ice Trey Young. Y'all know he's next up. He got next, future MVP, all that. But the reason he's underrated is because we saw what he just did in the playoffs. Obviously, it wasn't very impressive, his performance versus the Heat, but we saw what he did last year. He took his team to the conference finals, his first year ever being in the playoffs, as the undeniable face of the franchise with no second star. You feel me? And in that Bucks series, that did go 6 games. Let's not forget he did get hurt. I'm not trying to make excuses, but he might be one injury, playoff injury away from making it to the finals in his first year in the playoffs, which is that's pretty special. But we all want to forget about that because we all have revisionist history. It's all what have you done for me recently, which is respectable. But Ice Trey Young, he's special. He's real special. Now next up we got John Morant. For this one, we got 7 votes for underrated. Oh no, 7 votes for overrated, 16 votes for underrated. For all these players, we got more votes for underrated than overrated. But for this one, I'm gonna have to disagree with y'all. You feel me? I'm gonna go with Ja being overrated. You feel me? I mean, honestly, obviously, Ja's special. He got bounce. He's a slasher. He's a bucket for real. But he's not the best shooter in the world if we keeping it a buck. But the Grizzlies are a nice team, but they're also nice without John Morant. They won I think it's 20-5 without John Morant because he did miss some games due to some injuries this year, and his team is still winning without him. So how nice are you really if your team can win without you? Obviously, he's most improved player, but it's not like he's an MVP. You feel me? We've seen players like have a season like John and win MVP. We saw what Derrick Rose did. Is Ja better than Derrick Rose was back in the day? You feel me? I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say so myself. Reason why I think he's overrated. Now, obviously, if they beat the Warriors in the series, then you feel me. You could laugh at me and say that I'm a clown and I'm wrong. But honestly, I think the Warriors might deal with them in 5 or 6 games, and if that happens, this might die down just a little bit. Obviously, he's catching bodies every other day now. He's a poster in the making, but in terms of just overall talent as a basketball player, you know, y'all might hate me for this one, but Ja's not better than Trae Young. Because everything Ja doing, Trae Young did. It's just that he wasn't most improved because he been putting up stupid numbers since his sophomore year. Ja kind of made this jump from sophomore to junior year, where Trae Young kind of made the jump after his rookie season. So, and Trae Young did, as I said before, take his team to the Eastern Conference Finals. Obviously, Ja, his first year in the playoffs, similar to Trae, won his first playoff series, which is great. I'm happy for you. But he was the higher seed, so it's not like he upset anybody, and his team is winning games without him. That adds up to a little bit overrated in my book. Moving on, last player in question, last suspect, we got Easy Money Sniper, Twitter fingers himself, Kevin Durant. Obviously, 6 votes for overrated, 13 votes for underrated. So y'all believe Kevin Durant's more underrated than overrated, and I'm gonna have to agree. Honestly, this one was the one I was most. If I were to include properly rated in this video, I'd probably put Kevin Durant there. But let me first of all, this might offend some of y'all, but let me just say this: as far as Kevin Durant being underrated, Kevin Durant's a better player than Steph Curry all time. I'm gonna just let y'all know. I know y'all gonna be, but he has more rings. But where the Finals MVPs at? But he has more regular season MVPs, But Kevin Durant has more scoring titles, and obviously Steph Curry's great and everything, but he needed Kevin Durant to win. And this is the whole thing. This is what I can't get past. How some of y'all think Steph is better than KD, because y'all gonna point to this year how the Nets performs, and y'all gonna point to how the Warriors are doing and say, look, without each other, Kevin Durant's struggling, Steph Curry isn't struggling. Let's put them on the same team and let's see who the better player is. Oh, wait, that happened. Kevin Durant, back-to-back Finals MVP. If you're on the same team and one player is Finals MVP and the other player, is along for the ride, the Finals MVP is the better player. I'm sorry. It's like, bruh, it's like nobody's going to make the argument that, oh, in Cleveland, Kyrie was dropping 42 in those finals, so, he was the best player on the Cavs. Like, no, that's not how it works. Kevin Durant was the better player. He averaged something like 35, 7 and 5 or something stupid in those finals. Obviously they were front runners the entire playoff run, so I'm not giving either one of those players too much credit for those championships, but they are championships at the end of the day. And Steph Curry is almost top 10. If he wins the finals and a Finals MVP this year, then we could start to talk about who's really the better player between Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. But just look what KD did just last year versus the Bucks, who did end up winning the championship. Obviously, toe on the line. He was one shot away from really, beating the NBA champions, and that's without Kyrie and with Kevin Durant. I said Kevin Durant, with James Harden, playing like an old man at the rec. He was really just out there to have fun, for real. He wasn't playing like an NBA player, because that was all KD, and he still took that Bucks team to 7 at full strength, which is very impressive, and something that I've not seen Steph do ever in the playoffs. We could say, oh, look at all these victories. They were always the favorites. We can point back to the first NBA Finals run. That was Steph's most important, where he was the alpha dog, the lead, the leading man in the room, and took that team to the championship, which is fair. But aside from that, none of the playoff runs that I've seen from Steph have really impressed me to the point where I think he's a better player than Kevin Durant, one of the best scorers of all time, underrated. That wraps up this video. Feel me? We're gonna have another edition of Over Under. I like this series. I like this content, and run it up, and This game, we out.